Today we are here to ask and answer a very important question. That question is, can you blow a subwoofer simply by clipping it? Not by underpowering it, not by overpowering it, but by powering it with a pure clip signal at an acceptable wattage. On this channel, you know we don't just accept traditional knowledge without testing it first and seeing it for ourselves. So today, friends, that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, I just want to be the greatest.
So here is the maybe sacrificial subwoofer, and shout out to Mr. Joseph Bauer who has sent me this sub maybe even 2 years back. I just haven't found anything to do with it until now. Let's kind of go over what this sub is, how we're going to test it, the whole shabam. This sub here is a little bit older Blaupunkt. It's actually kind of a legit subwoofer. You know, I know Blaupunkt does make some questionable stuff now, but this seems decently beefy, and I don't know, seems kind of nice, to be honest with you. You get your 180 watts RMS, so we know that's the acceptable power range to stay within that. As we go around the box here, you can see we have several different recommended enclosures. So for sealed, you can go 0.5. This is the limited base, but okay. The pounder box would be 1 cubic foot, smooth low end, tons of power handling, jam on it. The most accurate would be 1.5 cubic foot, very natural low frequency performance with good transient response. We're gonna go sealed today because I have a sealed enclosure for this. I actually have an enclosure that is 1 cubic foot sealed. It's gonna be perfect for this test. Let's get it on that box, and then I'll talk about how exactly we're gonna perform these tests. All right, let's walk through the setup we have here. I've got the Blaupunkt subwoofer inverted in the 1 cubic foot enclosure just so we can kind of monitor it. It's easier to get to the plugs this way. And even though this is not a good situation for monitoring temperature, we can kind of go down the vent pole. We can maybe come back up in here and see where we're at temperature wise. As far as the power, we have the Memphis SE 2001 DF. Now, a testament to this amp, I had to not only turn the sublevel all the way up on this, I turned the gain all the way up on this, and I turned the bass boost about halfway up. And that's how hard it was to get this thing to clip. Once we run the test, we'll be able to monitor the wattage. We'll be able to monitor the Luimy here and kind of see the signal, although this is going to show clipping a lot quicker than the Luimy, but you know, it's a nice visual indicator. That being said, we will be able to give this subwoofer around 75 watts at clipping, and it'll be a pretty hard clip. This is rated 180 watts, so the theory is that 75 clipped watts will destroy this sub, even though it's rated 180 watts RMS, as you can see right there on the subwoofer. So with that being said, we're going to run the full track length, which is almost 5 minutes, and we'll monitor the temperature throughout that as well to see kind of where we land. So without further ado, let's just jump into the testing. All right, you caught me. I did not have the Luimy set up correctly in the first 5-minute test, so I wanted to do another quick run just to show you how nasty that signal actually is, and you can see here it is pretty gross. All right, let's check the old blah punk. Let's see where we're at now. And I'll tell you what, it's not even that warm, believe it or not. It survived all the tests. I sent a horrifically clipped signal to this for 5 minutes twice, 2 different days. I done some auxiliary testing and it still survived. So let me switch over to Dispute and we'll talk about my final thoughts on killing your subwoofer just by clipping it. At the beginning of this video, if you would have bet me $500 that this sub would survive 60 nasty watts of that clip signal for 5 minutes, not only once, but twice, I would have lost $500 because I for sure would have said this subwoofer is going up in smoke, taking that much power, which granted is not a lot of power, but as nasty and as clipped as that signal was, I for sure would have thought this subwoofer would have blown. With all that being said, don't let this test teach you a bad lesson that it's okay to clip your subwoofers, because there are a few takeaways from this. Can you blow a subwoofer just by clipping it? The answer is maybe, depending on the power. So in this test, we kind of find that it's not just clipping. It also has to do with the power factor. We were running roughly 1/3 of rated RMS to this. So 60 watts, it's rated 180 watts RMS. If we were sending the full RMS power to this 180 watts with a clip signal, we probably would have had some issues with it. The whole purpose of this was to see if I could blow this subwoofer just with clipping. I didn't want to be anywhere near RMS because I didn't know how conservatively rated the RMS was on this subwoofer. So I wanted to stay as far away from that power as I could and just do a pure, can I blow the subwoofer just by clipping it? In this test, I did not. That doesn't mean you're not going to blow your subwoofer if you're only sending 100 watts to it and it's rated 300 watts. So your results may vary. You know, it is what it is. Definitely never clip your subs constantly. They can handle it for a short amount of time, but clipping is heat, and heat is what really kills subwoofers. So maybe I'll revisit this again and do a test closer to RMS rating and see how that goes. So with all that being said, I hope you do enjoy these type of videos. I always try to do something a little bit different. I have an inquisitive mind. I want to test stuff. I don't always want to go just by the common knowledge and just assume everything everyone is saying is 100% correct. It often is, but you know, sometimes you want to test it for yourself just to see what's going on. Let me know what you thought about this test. What would you have changed? What would you have done different? What would you like to see in the future? That's it. That's how you don't blow a sub just by clipping it. Who knew? I hope to catch every single one of you on the next video. Shout out to all my Patreon supporters, but I want to give a special shout out to the 6-star or more members: 2001 Monolithic, Gene Nava, Joaquin Juarez, El Fuego Audio, Travis McClendon, Brandon Hanna, William Berg, Boxboy Audio Sound Solutions, Jesus Tires, Dennis Cromwell Jr., Scott Dilbeck, D. Stewart, Aaron Waltz, David Kozlik, Scott McCord, Matthew Toberg, Debo Bass, Cornut, Trucker 9000, Bobby Burkett, Kevin Lautner, The Car Audio Guy, James Childers, Baba, and Thomas Marshall. For as little as $2 a month, you can join the team and get access to behind-the-scenes content as well as an exclusive Patreon-only podcast. If any of this sounds interesting to you, check me out at patreon.com/HifiVega. Oh, 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 oh. All right, here is the footage of the second 5-minute run. You know, it's about 4.5 minutes, something like that. But the second run, the sub lives. Who would have thought it? So enjoy.